Alright, today's tutorial is going to be in addition to the old Nebula tutorial. This one's going to be about anisotropy and shadow computations. So we'll start with our density function. So grab a geometry position, geometry position, grab a noise texture with a scale of 1.5 full detail, and just put it over here somewhere. Grab a grab a Musgrave texture, set the scale to 2.5, set the type to which multifractal, full detail, 0.01 dimension, no, we'll do 0.15 dimension with 512 gain. There we go. So we're left with something like this. Add a reroute here. Grab a math greater than. Actually, we don't need a reroute. Grab a greater than. Grab multiply this by 100, 250. No, 100 is good, I think. Now let's do 256, and then add 1. Let's move this over here. I'm gonna set this to like 0.5. Okay. Then grab another add node, and off of the height of the Musgrave texture, to grab a multiply 2.5, and then that to the power of 20 or 35, 20 might work. Plug this in here, and then multiply this by 1 and clamp the value. Now grab a vector math scale, plug this value into the scale, and then grab an RGB node. I'll set it to blue because this will be the scattering color, and blue looks really good for scattering. And just call this scattering color. And then in the description of this video, I'll link a new anisotropy scaler that, rather than using, like when looking at the light source, instead of the light source being from the light direction, it'll originate from the center of the mesh. So I'll just link that down below in a Google Drive. But I'm going to append mine. Node tree, anisotropy scaler. Okay. Anisotropy scaler, and there's something weird going on here. Unused blocks. Okay. So now you've got this anisotropy scaler. I'm going to set this first anisotropy value to 0, and this one to 0.7, or you grab a value, set this one to 0.7, plug that into the top anisotropy value, and call this just anisotropy. Now grab a mix, color, add, plug this into the bottom, this into the top, just leave it here. Then grab another scale, scale it by this add. There we go. Okay. Now grab a vector math multiply and 2 subtract. set the top vectors to subtract. We're going to subtract our color from 1 to invert it. So grab our RGB, plug it into the bottom here. You can see what's going on here. If I set this to like blue, it'll be red, or bluish, blues into the fuck. You know what I mean. Anyway, call this art. I'm going to set this to like a an orange kind of. Okay, and then call this absorption color. Okay. I also want to subtract 0.25 from it. There we go. I'll subtract 1. 0.25 works. And then scale this by this right here. And group all of this. Oops. Group it. So I'll plug this into here. And that's fine. Duplicate this. Call this first one position in, and this second one lighting in. And for the outputs, call the top one scattering and the bottom one absorption. And this will be our density function. A lot of the information here about shadow calculation is from Samuel Krug's most convoluted but most accurate, I think it was, Planet tutorial. I'll link it in the description. He's got a lot of amazing videos on this kind of topic. Okay. Grab an emission and plug that into volume. Okay, now grab an add shader and add some volume absorption. Plug the absorption here into the color and density. And then grab a vector math length for the density and a vector math normalize to get the color. After the normalize, you want to subtract it from 1 also. Okay. I'll set the gain to like a 1024. Yeah, seems to work. Okay, good. Alright, now we're going to work on the shadow computation. So grab a vector math, add or multiply anything that has 2 inputs and 1 output. Group it and delete it. It doesn't need to have 2 outputs. You can add them manually, but it's just easier that way. And then here, call this first one, position in, and this one, step vector in. Okay, and then this output, call it lighting out. All right. From the position in, grab a white noise texture, plug the position into the vector, grab a math, multiply, set it to 0.125, plug the value to the multiply here, and then grab another vector math and group this, and I'll just call this one out here light sample pack, and this one will be our light sample. Oops. Okay. So we need 4 inputs and 4 outputs. So I'll just make those right now. There we go. This top input, also call it position in. Call this one step vector in. Call the very last one extinction in, and then this one we need to swap to a float and call it counter in. And same thing for the other side, but instead out. So we'll have position out, we'll have a step vector out, we'll have our extinction out, and I will set this to a float value, and this will be our counter out. I'm going to duplicate this group input, and I'll plug this counter in into, oh, there we go. Move the, oops, crap. Move this one down and step vector out. Okay, there we go. Okay, so counter in, plug that into the counter out here, and just grab a math add 0.125. Okay, and then this extinction in, you want to plug to the extinction out right here, and grab a vector math add. Plug this into the bottom socket just for organization. Grab a scale, plug this into here as well. I'm going to grab our density function, plug our absorption into this scale. We're going to grab a vector math add, and we're going to grab another scale, set this to 0.125 for now, and we're going to plug step vector into here, and then add this to the position in. And we will use this as our position out here, and our position in for our density function. After this scale over here, we need a length, and then we scale the absorption from this density function by the length. So that's set up, and then we just plug this step vector into the step vector out right here. Okay, and then we'll just work on the better shadows right now before I forget. So grab a value node. I'll put 3 in here. And you can go from 0 to 4 or 5. It doesn't really matter. Just call this shadow quality. There we go. I want a math power exponent. Plug the counter in into the base, and then we use our shadow quality as the exponent here. You need another power node. Grab a add and subtract. We plug this into the bottom one here. Plug this into the top, and this goes into the scale. We use this as the exponent for this, and then the base of this is counter in plus 0.125, and that is 1 light sample. I'm going to plug this into counter in, plug this into position in, and this into step vector in. and we need 8 of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. And then just connect these up. All right. Once you have all of them hooked up, I'm going to grab a vector math add, plug the extinction out into the add, grab a value, set it to about 1. This will be our extinction coefficient. The extinction coefficient is basically just the I can't think of the word right now, but basically just how much light kind of gets absorbed into the medium. It's like I'll just put the word on screen when I remember it after recording. But when light passes through a certain amount of medium, it'll kind of that I can't think of the word for some reason. I've had to record this a few different times because Blender and OBS crapped out. Okay. We need to invert these channels now. So power, use x as the exponent with a base of 0.5 and use that for y and z. This is our lighting output. Okay, and then we need a position in and a step vector in. For the step vector, if we want the light source to originate from the center, we grab a vector math scale and scale this by -1. Plug this into the lighting in here, and then we also need to multiply the emission color by this. Oh, right. Now plug this lighting into this add as well. Something's weird. Something's being a little funky. I could have just plugged something in wrong. Happens a lot. Density function. Hold on, let me just run through this real quick because I'm looking at another one of my old files. Okay, the extinction in and this being scaled by the length. So that's this. Scale, add, position in, position out here. Step vector is just that. I'm going to disable the oh, that's weird. It's something with the shadows. So I did something wrong with the shadows. I don't know what it would be though. That's the only issue. Let me organize this a little bit. I'm just going to duplicate the shadow quality and plug it in here. Okay, so we've got this, just the counter in to the power of shadow quality. It's also adding 0.125 to here to the power of shadow quality. And it's this minus this and plugged into there. I am using absorption, that's good. I don't see anything immediately obvious that could be messing with it that much. I'm sure I'm just missing something. I don't know what though. If we look at our that's interesting. Alright. Our density function, what do we have in here? If I subtract, not much of a difference. This is just an anisotropy scalar. Is it this stuff right here? You know, it could be. Well, I'll plug the entire thing into volume right here. It could definitely be this stuff. I don't know what could be causing that. Oh, this is supposed to be power. I see. Multiply on power 20, maybe. Less 2.5. The power of okay, 1.5, how about 1.65? 1.5. Yeah. Okay, there we go. And you can see right here we've got some really nice shadow, and I will turn down the step rate a little bit so you can see that very nice detail. Turn this up a little bit for this. Yeah, that's quite nice. I'm still going to turn this up a little bit so Blender doesn't crap out, because OBS uses a lot of resources as well. Okay, so we can change the anisotropy, right, which is pretty fun. And I will show you all the controls that we now have over the Nebula. So we can change the scattering color. We can change the absorption color. We could change the extinction coefficient. If I set this to 0, right, let's see, set this to a higher value, right? So we've got extinction coefficient. We can change the shadow quality. So if I set this to 0, you can see there's no shadows. If I set this to like 3 or something, so this is 0, 3, and see it's some pretty nice control. Yeah, there we go. That's quite nice. Extinction coefficient, we already went over that. The absorption color, obviously a very nice control to have. Yeah, so in the next part of the tutorial, I'll show you how to add stars that actually emit light. Well, obviously they emit light, but that act as light sources in the nebula. That cast shadow as well. And I forgot to add one thing. Set the Musgrave texture to 4D and just grab a value, group it, and just call this seed. Plug that into the W here. And there we go. So we've got control over the anisotropy, scattering color, absorption color, the extinction coefficient, the shadow quality, the seed, and yeah, just have fun messing with that. Until next time, bye.